Welcome, everybody, to Candid Conversations with Dr. Latanya. I am a licensed professional counselor and a licensed clinical pastoral counselor. And this is a faith based podcast where we express ourselves through authenticity and transparency about lived experiences and life lessons through the lens of mental and spiritual health. Everybody has a story to tell, and this space was created with them in mind. On today's episode, we'll be joined by Jabarre Jarrett as he shows how he has seized the opportunity of a second chance at life and has taken advantage of becoming all that God has destined him to be through resilience and transformation. Hello, Jabari.
Hey, how you doing, Dr.
I'm
Latanya?
good. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored, and
Absolutely, absolutely.
so honored to
Good.
be on your platform.
Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and do this. I've seen you over the last year or so grow into this amazing young man, and I know that you have a story to tell. And I wanted you to come and share with me today. So I truly appreciate you coming.
Thank
So
you.
we're gonna go ahead and dive into this conversation because I'm anxious to hear the story. Of course, this is my first time hearing it live and in person, so I'm excited about it. So the first thing that I want you to do is tell everybody who you are and all of the things that you got going on.
Okay. Well, for the viewing audience, I am a CPRS, which is a certified peer recovery specialist. I am a youth support specialist with Persevere. I'm a founder of Safest Avenue, which is a 501c nonprofit that I created to bring resources to underserved, underprivileged communities. I am also the founder of a for-profit called Do It Right Truth Talk, which is a podcast company that I started roughly 2.5 years ago, just to kind of break into being a black-owned business. I just created something, and
Hmm.
now it's really got a buzz. Everybody doing podcasting right now, so I think I kind of had my niche in the right spot. Um,
Hmm. I jumped on the bandwagon.
right. Um, I'm a community activist. I mentor. I go into prisons all over Tennessee speaking. I go into schools. I got a partnership with Northeast and Northwest Prep Academy School in Memphis, where I go in and I speak to the youth at their schools quarterly.
Okay.
I'm an author. I've written 2 books, From Bars to Stars, Mentoring Your Way to Freedom, and
Okay.
Three Keys to Staying Free.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a lot of information in that 3 keys to staying free. I haven't
How
released.
do you get those books? How are they available?
So the 3 keys to staying free is actually something that I'm using as a lead magnet. That's something that I'm just gonna put out there just for free. I'm gonna
Okay.
start DMing people and just giving it to them for free. Hopefully, to lead them to a core deal that I got, and that's gonna be like a class that I'm working on, where I'll be doing virtual mentor sessions once a week or maybe twice a week. So yeah. So that's what the 3 keys to staying free is, a lead magnet, because I feel like, especially as black men, we when we get out, we have a problem with staying free. It's
Mm.
something about that. It's something about them walls that keep pulling us. And I think if somebody laid out a roadmap, just some keys to staying free, just a few of
Okay.
them, that
Mhm.
hopefully, you know what I'm saying, we could kind of damper that a little bit, you know, and put a band-aid on recidivism. So that's
Okay.
what I'm doing with the 3 keys to staying free. Trying to make sure I haven't forgot anything. Oh, father, just such a great father. Husband,
Okay, okay. Husband.
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Uh,
Awesome.
yep. I got some good stuff coming up. I got next week I'm having a big meeting, and I haven't told anybody this yet. Besides the pastor at Forerunner, Pastor James Jones, me and him, we're working together to take 30 children to see the
Mhm.
Memphis Grizzlies on March the 8th. And
Okay, awesome.
yeah, and I hadn't told anybody about it because I was scared that it wasn't going to happen. And
Mhm.
and
So
also
it is
Mark,
happening?
yep, also Mark Healy
Okay.
as well helping me with that too. But I got a meeting with the Memphis Grizzlies this Wednesday. So
Okay,
hopefully,
awesome.
So hopefully, if everything goes right in this meeting, all 30 of us will be sitting together. We'll have a fan experience, and a whole lot there have us on the Tigertron up in the ceiling. So yeah, that's
That
just
is awesome. That's great work. Great work, Jabari. So, can I ask you before we, get all into the deep stuff, what inspires you to want to share your story with other people?
the lack of the truth being told. I think so many people tell a story from their perspective, but their perspective is not the truth always. Like I think that people can go out and say they had a good time, but really
Mhm.
didn't have a good time. If I'm making sense. Um,
Mhm.
and by me being in that space, being in prison, I seen a lot of guys that get on the phone and brag about the time being spent inside those walls when you haven't accomplished anything, when it's really sad that somebody's controlling you, telling you when to get up, when to go to sleep. You don't have a
Yeah.
refrigerator. So I think that, and a lot of people, they just say, man, we in there chilling. We lifting weights, we working out, we doing this, we doing that. They got gyms out here in the free world. So I
Yeah.
just want to bring a person's level of thinking up to where it needs to be. So that's why I share
Okay.
my story. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, okay. All right. So now we're going to get down to the heavy stuff.
Okay.
Do you remember at what age you were when you started going down the wrong path?
I can't exactly remember the age in question, but I was real young. I was a very tender age, and I don't share this with much people, but my mom, she was a hard working mom, and I can recall being in probably like the fourth grade, fourth, fifth grade. My mom used to get off work, and she would come to Parkview to pick us up from the babysitter, which was my grandma,
Mhm.
and I would run. As soon as I see a car come down the street, I would take out running, and I would run behind houses, and people in the neighborhood would help me hide from my mom, so I wouldn't go home, and that's when I started going down the wrong path,
Okay.
being affiliated with older gentlemen that at the time in their life didn't have it together, to say the least.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
idolized it because my mind was underdeveloped,
Mhm.
and as a result, I went down the wrong path.
Okay. So, I mean, you kind of answered this already. I wanted to know, like, what was compelling for you in the streets? And I say in the streets because anything outside of your home is in the streets most of the time. So, what was compelling to you? And maybe that'll help us understand our generation now. Like, what's so compelling out there that
Freedom,
draws you?
freedom, um, the feeling of wanting to be grown, and being grown is being accomplished because you're being aided by people who are grown.
Mm,
Love. But when I say love, I don't mean unconditional true love. I mean
mhm.
love that you get from a companion, but not someone that has your best interest at heart, because no one loves better than a mother loves. So
Absolutely.
I had to mention that because I was going against love to get love. But the love that
Mm,
I wanted was from streets, people that agree with my decisions, whether they were right or wrong. That's the love
right.
I versus the love of somebody that was gonna give me correction along with love. So
Did
yeah.
that feel good? Like, was it a feel good feeling?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You get a good feeling when you're around peers and they're welcoming you and your activity and your behaviors. All of us doing it together. So there's nobody there to chastise you or hold you accountable or make you be responsible. So a lack of
Okay.
responsibilities is the reason why people run to the streets. That was one of the reasons why I ran to the streets. I only had to be responsible for street things. I didn't have to be responsible for um, civil things, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got you. Okay. Did you and I don't know if this is a question that is okay for you, but did you join a gang while you were
Yes.
um okay.
Yes. So when I was 13 years old, I joined the gang. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm from Parkview. For the local audience, the Ripley, Tennessee viewing audience, they will know what Parkview is, but it's a small community inside of Ripley, and they had their preference of gangs inside of
Mhm.
Parkview, and I joined home to one of them at an early age. And I did that life on the streets from a child all the way up to an adult, in jail, back to the streets. I did it in prison as well for a little while before I finally said that, no, I got to change this. If I want better, I got
Mm,
to change this.
right. So I've never really understood the gang life, but for some, I guess it's a sense of belonging to something. Would you say that that's what it was for you, like a sense of
Yeah.
belonging to something?
Belonging, inclusion, yeah, yeah, most definitely.
Okay,
And
all right.
brotherhood. And then, that's another reason why I tell my story. That's another reason why I try to organize the way that I try to organize now, because back then we was looking for a group. We was looking for a
Mm-hmm.
brotherhood. And it's still like that today. Kids looking for something. They're very impressionable at an early age. So they're looking for something to stand for. And if you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So I'm trying to put in place something that's worth standing for, which is Safe as Avenue, which is a safe way to live, a safe way to navigate through life without bumping your head, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being led
Okay.
and guided by somebody who done already been down that path that can give you a safe way to maneuver through life. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So take us back, Jabari, to the moment that changed your life forever.
Okay. To not go into much detail about it, I would just be it was May the 9th,
Mm-hmm.
2016. And that day changed my life forever. Um Consequently, I was charged with manslaughter, and I was charged with being a convicted felon with a firearm, and I was sentenced to 12 years at 35% to
Mm-hmm.
TDLC. And that occurred in 2016. The actual event in itself, it happened on May the 9th, but that's when I got woke up. Yeah, that's when my life changed forever. I remember um, how the cops played with you when they get you in the room, and one of them played good cop and the other one played bad cop. To
Mm-hmm.
one of them wants you to be nice. He try to be
Mm-hmm.
nice, talk about everything that he know about you, so he can get you to come out and be truthful about what you did or what you didn't do. And I told the truth about what had happened. And after that, before I ever spoke, they said, well, after you tell the story, you're going home. Woo, woo, woo. So I was like, cool. So I was kind of naive, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
but I was very remorseful, and that's what brought the truth out. So after I told the truth, he said, stand up. I stood up. He said, now put your hands out. I got to lock you up. And I remember asking him, I said, am I going to do life in prison? He said, probably. And
Mm-hmm.
I just remember everything just flashing before my eyes at that moment. I thought about my wife. I thought about my kids. I thought about the progress I had been making. I thought about all my dreams and aspirations. I thought about never coming home again. Um, just a lot of different raw emotions. And yeah, it changed that when from that moment on, I knew that life was different. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
different from that moment on. And I remember going through it. My mom used to say all the time, it's gonna be a great day. She said, I spoke with Reverend Jared and he told me to assure you that it's gonna be a great day. And she used to say it so much that I used to get frustrated and mad when I heard it because I didn't see how nothing good was gonna come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and I'm around people on the inside that's been there forever. I've been around people that like come in with a 2-year sentence and die in there and never come home. So I was always in my mind, I'm like, I'm probably never gonna come back home. I'm probably never gonna come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were
So
there moments that you gave up
um
or
no,
wanted to give up?
gang banging, yes. Yes.
Okay.
And please give me just a few seconds to speak about this for a second
Okay.
because
Okay.
being from a small rural area, we think that we're doing something on a major scale, but we don't know how minute what we're doing actually is. And what I'm actually speaking about is just small city gang life compared to major life gang
Mhm.
activity, or being around gang people that you don't even know, but y'all claim the same gang, you never met them before, you don't know how they was raised, so they view life differently. And it was certain people that claimed the same gang that I claimed that I hated to see coming. I'd be like,
Mm.
gotta start my day off with this fool, you know.
Mhm.
I was around people that's way, way worse than me,
Mm.
mentally, physically, everything. So,
Yeah.
and that was a big eye opener to me, because you don't get to pick and choose really what you're gonna do once you say that you're something. And shower security is another thing that we had to go through in prison. So even all the way down to extortion, and that
Mm.
was that was a big thing on me. It was a guy I remember. He was in there for sexual assault on a 16-year-old, and the gang that I was in, they was like, well, he can't stay here, and if he stay here, he got to pay to live here. So I was one of the guys that had to take him to the phone to call his parents to make him send money. And I'm like, I go back to my room, to my dorm, and I was like, man, I can't keep doing this. I
Mm.
cannot keep doing this. I said, he done already been sentenced. God dealing with him. Now why am I in here trying to make it harder for him when I want somebody to have mercy on me?
Oh,
And I was just like, I'm better than this. I'm really better than
wow.
so I started going to church, and I actually got baptized again when I was
Okay.
in. Yep. And from there, I was going to church. I was going to Muslim services as well. And I just prayed about that thing. I prayed about that thing. And Sister Cornelia Capers, she told me, she said, sometimes you just got to pray people out your life. Don't ask God to do nothing bad to them. Just ask God to remove them. Just pray them out your life. And that started being my walk every day. When I seen
Mhm.
things that didn't look right, I was just, God, please remove them. Please remove them, man. The more my faith increased, the more I seen God moving mountains.
Mm.
He would move them. He would move them. And before I knew it, I was in a good space. Inside my head, I could think clear. I didn't have so much of those distractions around me. And from there, the gang ended up coming to me. They said, well, we see how you moving, and we're gonna let you do that, but don't come back and ask us for no help. Don't let us see you shaking up. Don't let us see you doing none of that, none of that. So I was like, okay, cool. And so I
Were
went
you
through that.
afraid?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I won't get on here and lie and say I wasn't afraid. Everything from
Yeah.
day one I was fearful of, because, I never been through it before. Now everybody can put on that badge of toughness,
Mhm.
and stick their chest out, just I'm Mighty Joe Young, but no, I wasn't Mighty Joe Young. I was a man. I walked around as a man and I carried myself as a man, but I was fearful. I was fearful. I mean, when you walking down the hallways, it's 400 people in the hallway. Out of that 400 people, 300 of them got a knife on them. I've seen people get stabbed right in front of me. So
Mm.
I know, that this ain't a place where you can walk around and just be relaxed, cool, not on guard. So if you got to be in a state of mind like that, that's fearful, because you never
Yeah.
know what might happen. And because of your affiliations, because of the crime that I was incarcerated for, I didn't know who was coming to get me or who did
Right.
not like me. So I was always
Mhm.
I was always conscious of the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now you're having to learn how to I'm not going to necessarily say walk by yourself, but basically walk by yourself. Of course, God is always there, but now you're having to be the man and learn how to do it on your own. What was that like? Simply because you went from wanting to belong to something and be a part of something to now wanting to do it by yourself, wanting to do life by yourself. So what did that feel like? What was that like for you?
It was different. Um, it was lonely at times. Um, even even currently, I had great relationships and friendships with people in the past, and now we don't even communicate anymore. A lot of people I can't even remember the last time we held a conversation just because of the change that I choose to make. And
Okay.
it's hurting in that time because, like I told you, when I started out, I was doing things for love. So a lot of people that I don't associate myself with today, it doesn't mean I don't love them. I still do love them. I love them dearly. But with
Mm-hmm.
this course that God got me on right now, I can't allow myself to be in certain situations around certain people. I can't allow myself to do it.
Absolutely. It's called setting boundaries. And there's
Yes.
absolutely nothing wrong with that. Um, what did going to prison then, or how did going to prison then affect your life now?
Um, it was the best thing that happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to pray all the time, and Sister Cornelia Capers is my witness. I was in the streets so bad that I I didn't know how bad I was in the streets until it'll be a couple days and went back before I done came back home. And I wasn't and I was married, I had a wife, we was doing well, we living in the house together, but I was hustling. So my focus went at home. But once I realized how long I've been away from home and stuff like that, I would call Sister Capers and I would like, pray with me. So we'll get down and pray, and she'll just be like, ask God to stop you from running the streets and remove the taste of alcohol from your mouth. So I would pray that prayer. This in 2016, I would pray it almost every night. And
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm finna get to about that is we gotta be intentional. We gotta be intentional about what we asking God for because God answered our prayers in a way that we didn't even think He would answer them.
Absolutely.
I was praying for God to stop me, correct me, intervene, help me, deliver me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do
he
you remember
did.
what happened or how he did it?
I know exactly how he did it. It was um he used my pain. My pain was my purpose. And after praying, he set me down for a restricted period. I was set down for years, because he had to get me in a place of solitude to where he could deal with me. Because while I
Mm,
was surrounded by so many, and I'm not calling nobody a devil, but the spirit. When I was
right.
around so many of those spirits, God couldn't get to me like he got
Mm-hmm.
me now. So he had to sit me down. He took that urge of doing drugs and alcohol away from me. He took that urge to run the streets away from me. I didn't run the streets for 5 straight years. I didn't even see a I didn't even see a star for 5 straight years. So
Wow.
yeah, I remember being on the top bunk, the window this big. I'm laying in the bed like this, looking up out the window, trying to see a star. And for 5 years, I didn't see one.
Mm.
So
And yet
that
some people go back to that over and over and over again.
I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Cause I look at it like a slave ship, a big slave ship is what prison is. You see the same thing every day, but you never go nowhere. But you
Yeah.
trick yourself in your mind to make you think you done went somewhere. Oh, I'm finna go to the child hall. Oh, I'm finna go to the gym. Oh, I'm finna go to school. Oh, I'm finna, but you haven't went nowhere, and you haven't been anywhere for years. You've been on this same ship,
Yeah.
looking at the same stuff for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, that becomes a way of life. I used to work in the prison system, so I know that becomes, we call it what, institutionalized.
Yes.
It becomes a way of life, and sometimes people become comfortable. And when you've done a thing, sometimes for so long, that's all you know. And anything outside of that is abnormal. It doesn't feel right. So I truly understand where you're coming from. Um, I remember when I talked to you earlier, you said that at some point your children have become a little traumatized by uh you having to live that life. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I had spoke with you earlier this week, this was the first that I ever noticed that my daughter was traumatized by these events that happened in our past. And my son was playing around with the internet and he hit Google and he got a YouTube channel. So he typed in Jabarre Jared in the Google search bar. We got the same name. You go in there and type Jabarre Jared right now in the Google search bar, it's going to pull up everything I've ever done, good,
Mm,
bad, and in between. So my son clicked and started reading. And what he read was shocking to him. So he ran back to everybody around him and was like, y'all know this about daddy? Y'all know this about daddy? Because at the time when it happened, he was 6, 7 months old. So he don't have no recollection of what happened,
yeah.
until he
Hmm.
read it now. And as soon as he brought it up to my daughter, she bust out and started screaming and crying.
Wow.
She said, I don't like hearing about it. I don't like talking about it. I don't like the sound of it. And
Mm,
and I never knew. But I can recall that I remember being locked up and she was crying one day. And my cousin Travis had came home from prison and she was like, I can't remember his daughter's name right now, but they're friends. They in the same
hmm.
grade. She was so happy about her dad coming home from prison. My daughter, when we spoke that evening, she was like, Dad, when you coming home? And I was like, I don't know, baby. She was crying. I was like, what's wrong? She was like, Travis came home. When you coming home? And
Hmm.
I got to explain to her. I was like, well, baby, Daddy did something a little worse than what Travis did. And Travis went in before I did. So quite naturally, he would come home before me.
Hmm.
But my time coming, baby. And I promise you I'm coming.
Mm,
That day, I stopped. I stopped all the BS because I knew my baby needed me.
yeah.
And you a woman and you know how it is to be daddy's girl.
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course. I do. I do.
yeah.
I do.
They got a soft spot on their daddy. And if my baby asks me anything right now, I will break my neck to try to do it.
Mm,
So for her to say, Daddy, I need you at home,
yeah.
I said, you know what? I got to get there. Ain't nothing inside of these walls that important. Not smoking no little bitty joint, not walking up and down
Hmm.
the hallway with some goofballs. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I
Exactly.
said, yeah, I said I will sit in here and self-educate myself and do whatever it is so I don't get in trouble. I don't get no write-ups. I don't so I can come home because day one I was labeled going in. Just to speak on prison life a little bit more and gang life because a lot of people don't know they get stuff tattooed on their body and they think it's cool. Um, I had a lot of gang tattoos prior to going to prison, and so when I came in, I was STG'd. For the people that don't know what an STG is, I was put in the side of a security threat group. So, and that's nothing more than being classified as a gang member,
Right.
and that's you what you are and who you run with and stuff like that. And I never really even thought it was nothing until one day the gang that I'm in get into a war with another gang. So now we can't go to visit for months and months and months. We can't even come out the cell, and I ain't threw a rock at nobody. So I went like 5, 6 months without a visit. I couldn't see my family because I
Wow.
was G. And I was like, that got to be stupid. Like that really got to be stupid. So
Mhm.
I don't know who's watching, but I would encourage anybody not to even join a gang. But if you are, that's your personal preference, but don't write it all over your body
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
anything we do, they use it against us.
Right.
And it follows you. Because when I got out of prison in 2021, I was still a registered gang member inside the federal database until 2022, to the end of 2022. So
Mhm.
even though I didn't associate myself with them anymore, I still was labeled as that. I had to carry that. I recall getting pulled over, and the officer that pulled me over told me exactly who I was, told me what gang
Mhm.
I was in, and you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth
It's
it.
not.
And
It's not.
and another thing about gangs, I just want to speak on it. I want to speak
Come
on it.
out. It's candid conversations.
I remember my mom coming to visit, and there was a guy that I was locked up with, and I idolized him out of stupidity. And I was like, Mom, that's such and such right there. He he got all these letters to OG such and such, such and such.
Mhm.
And and she was like, okay, that's fine. And she was like, but if he came and introduced himself to me like that, I'll be trying to get away from that man.
Mm.
And
That's
once
big.
and once I got home, I I seen the wisdom in what she was telling me. Try to take cred to the bank. Take your street cred to the light company.
Mhm.
Take your street cred to the car lot and see what you get. You're not gonna get nothing.
Right.
You're gonna get escorted off the premises
Mhm.
because it's not real.
Yeah.
It's something that carries no weight in a real.
Mhm.
Yeah, you triple OG, you the Don, you the Gov, you this, you that. But in a structured society, where do you fall in at? You at the bottom of the totem pole because your street cred cannot get you nothing in this real world. It can't.
Absolutely. It can get you dead or in jail.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it can get you. Somebody has a question. She was like, any mental health treatment for you and the family to address the traumatic experience?
Not at the moment. I haven't sought out for any mental health treatment right now. And I actually just don't know why. I just haven't sought out for any yet. I've been talking to her myself, mentoring her myself since I realized that she was dealing with that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I just went into deeper depth about it, and
Hmm.
I continuously do temperature checks on her and just call her and just, you all right? Do we need to sit down and have this conversation again, or are you straight?
Hmm. Hmm.
And for right now, she okay. But if it ever gets to the point to where I feel like we need to go outside and get some additional resources, we will.
Okay. Okay. Did you ever get any help on the inside? Like, was there ever a moment that you cried? I know most men think that crying is a sign of weakness and nobody wants to show how vulnerable they can be. But was there ever a moment for you that you actually cried?
Yeah, yeah. It was a whole lot of days. It was a whole lot of days I cried. I recall in 2020, I think it was Thanksgiving, and I'm in prison. I'm got my phone, and I'm playing the "Love Your Family" song. I'm playing it over and over and over and over again. And before I knew it, I just broke down and cried, and I couldn't stop myself. Hyperventilating like a little baby.
Oh goodness, you was crying, crying.
Yeah, I was big crying.
Oh goodness, you
And
needed that probably.
I did because you keep so much emotions bottled up, and before you know it, you become this big aggressive person.
Yeah.
Because you're holding so much in. And I felt good when I got it out, and I started reaching out to everybody, telling them I love them. That I was scaring them. They thought I was feeling something bad was gonna happen to me or something. But I was overwhelmed at that moment. I had been in for like 4.5 years at that time, and I hadn't broke down like that. But it been days prior to that I cried, and I might have just been laying on the bunk thinking and cried. Um, I cried a lot about being selfish, I guess I would say, because I didn't consider all the things that I was jeopardizing or putting at
Yeah.
risk when that initially happened. Um, I'm big on family, and when I finally realized that I abandoned my family, that was
Mm-hmm.
hurtful. So I recall that day I broke down and cried because people can hold people to expectation, unrealistic expectations at that. But
Mm-hmm.
but when you as a man remove yourself from your family, the family is not as strong as it once was. So anything is liable to happen when
Yeah.
you remove yourself, and you cannot hold nobody responsible for that. And when I realized that, it was hurtful. It was hurtful when I realized I was the reason why me and my wife ain't together no more. I'm the reason
Mm-hmm.
why my kids don't have their father in a home no more,
Mm-hmm.
because um healthy conflict resolution probably would have resolved it. You
Yep.
know,
Yep. Yep.
you know what I'm
That's
saying,
true. Mm-hmm.
and not knowing conflict resolution, or you know what I'm saying, and then this right here, um, in our culture, we scared to call the police on people. We rather we look at that as a form of weakness. So
Mm-hmm.
we act out and do the irrational thing when the more rational, logical thing would have been turn it over to the authorities. That's what they get
Yeah.
paid for. And
Mm-hmm.
still would have had my wife and my kids in the household with me, probably had I made a healthier decision. So yeah, I cried a lot. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But looking at where you are now, would you change anything? Would you want to change anything about your journey?
Um, the initial crime in itself.
You would change that?
Yeah. When I have to look through the lens of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
that's something I struggle with because no matter how much I change, certain people just not gonna accept it. And then outside of them not accepting it, I was a part of the problem. I was a part of black on black violence, black on black
Mm-hmm.
crime. I
Mm-hmm.
was a part of making someone mother uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Causing pain. So that in itself is hurting. It's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
It's hardening to know that I played such a major role in it. And yeah,
I have a really big question for you
okay,
now. Have you forgiven yourself?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
good deal. Couple of more questions and then I will not hold up any more of your time. But what would the Jabari now say to the younger Jabari?
What would I say to my younger self?
Yes.
Um, it's a man, and he's my mentor. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Broderick Webster, and he told me stay close to the fire, and you're gonna stay warm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna break that down for people who's listening that don't know what that means. The fire is your dream, your goal, your aspirations. And if you stay close to that, you're gonna stay warm. But the minute you abandon your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations, you'll find yourself doing something else. You'll find
Mm-hmm.
yourself so far, so disconnected from your dream that your dream you can't even touch it no more. So for me, to tell my younger self something, when I was younger, I went to Dyersburg State College to play. I played basketball at Dyersburg State College, but I also went to be a K through 6 school teacher because I wanted to coach inside of the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stay close to the fire. I didn't stay close to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
If I had stayed close to the fire, I would have eventually caught on fire.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good way of looking at it. Good looking at it.
So I would tell myself to stay close to your dreams, man.
Okay.
Don't don't talk to other people. Don't get so close to people to where you forget about what you supposed to be doing in your own lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll get too distracted about, well, this person made it before I made it. This person doing it, so I can't do it. No, stay focused. Stay
Mm-hmm.
stay close to
Mm-hmm.
your fire to keep yourself warm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was going to be a part of my next question, but you've already answered it. Unless you have something else you want to add to that, I would say, what would you say to a young man now who's going down the wrong path or choosing the wrong friends? If you could add anything else to what you just said, because that was good.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
That's good.
Yeah, show me your
That is
friends.
good.
We ain't gonna pass judgment. You just show me your friends and I'm gonna show you your future. For a young child that's growing up and the only people that you hang around is gang members, you're probably in
Hmm.
a gang. You're probably in a gang. If the kids you hang around always go to ISS, OSS, you're gonna end up suspended. You're gonna end up just when you show me your friends, I'm gonna show you your future. Birds of a feather flock together.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Jabarre, I have so enjoyed your conversation today. You've been really transparent. I really appreciate that. I know that your story is going to inspire somebody, has inspired quite a few people. Any last words before we close this out?
Um, yeah. For anyone listening, just take it one day at a time. Trust God. Keep your head up. Um, PTP. Push through pain.
Okay.
Push
PTP. Push through
pushing.
pain.
Yes, ma'am. Push
Okay.
through it. Take it one day at a time. Yesterday is over with. Let's look and press towards tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, I truly thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better episode today. I know that your mama is proud because I'm really proud of you. I really am. I remember when you were a little baby, and I think that you have grown into such an amazing young man. And I hope that you continue to stay close to the fire.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I want to thank all of you for stopping by Candid Conversations with Dr. Latanya and Jabarre today. It is my hope that something was shared that was nourishment for your soul. As always, take advantage of every living moment to love on yourself and those around you.